Bachelor Nation, 70% of men aged 20 to 34 are not married. Oh no. 70% of American males between the ages of 20 and 34 are not married, and many live in a state of perpetual adolescence with ominous consequences for the nation's future, says Janice Shaw Krause, author of Marriage Matters. All right, we're going to stop right here. Look, I am not one to be like the feminists, to constantly search for insult. That is not me. I'm not a virgin MGTOW. I'm not a feminist. I'm not a faddist. I'm not a fat acceptance type person. All right? But I do want to point out the mentality, and maybe not malicious mentality on the part of this author or this person, this Janice Shaw Krause of Marriage Matters. But look at the default premise she's operating from. That if you don't get married, you're in perpetual adolescence. That, and I know, whether purposely or not, assuming that just because men don't get married because they're immature or they're adolescent is wrong. It's flawed. It completely dismisses that there might be good and veritable reasons, and the reason these people, like Janice, go and say it's adolescence, it's immaturity, it's man-child, blah, 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 is because they place their ego higher than actually solving the problem, if there's a problem to be solved. Right? And you gotta look at what this statement tells you about the premises and the thought processes and the ego and the fragile emotions of Janice Shaw. She could not accept or open her mind to the fact that there are good and valid reasons why men are not proposing and why men are not getting married. And instead, it must be because there's something wrong with men. Right? That is putting ego ahead of the problem, ahead of the status or the well-being of both men and women who would presumably get married and benefit. Same thing with the book that I wrote, The Black Man's Guide Out of Poverty. In this case, it's not ego, but fear. People are afraid to tell young black men what the problem is. We place fear. We fear more than we value helping black men get out of poverty. And so instead of accurately diagnosing the truth, accurately diagnosing the problem, we default to fear and say, oh, yeah, it's discrimination. Oh, yeah, privilege. Oh, yeah. I mean, the extents we'll go to come up with poppycock reasons as to why black men do not perform as well on various categories as their white male counterparts is amazing. But in either the case of helping out black men or helping out people get married, when we put ego or fear ahead of truly diagnosing the real problem, then you can expect, since we violated the reality principle, since we aren't accurately diagnosing the problem, that this situation will not be resolved. The problem will continue. You know, I got a brain tumor, let's say. I go into the doctor, he says, oh, you got a cold. Guy can give me as much NyQuil as he wants. It is not going to solve my problem. Yeah? And bad on me if I say, if you tell me I got a brain tumor, I'm going to kick your ass because you're a racist, bigoted, sexist, homophobe. You got a cough. Here's some NyQuil. Get the hell out of my... Oh, I still got the brain tumor. And guess who suffers in the long run? Not the doc. Not the nurse. Not the pharmacist. It's me. I'm going to die. Same thing here. Janice wants to be a coward, wants to protect the ego of herself and women, and say that it's men's problem, that men are acting irrationally and misdiagnose the problem. It's not going to be men. Men are not suffering. Men would have liked to have, family, future, blah, blah, blah. But men are doing all right. Don't know if you noticed. Bachelor life ain't exactly the worst. Got food, got friends, can go travel, low expenses, no mortgage, playing video games, sleeping in. That's not the worst alternative. It's not a huge opportunity cost if we don't have children we can't afford, not to mention with the threat of the state and taxation and all that and divorce. So I want anyone going forward in these debates or others, you got to ask yourself, is it ego, fear, or some kind of emotion that we're going to pander to because we don't have the spine to directly address the truth? Or are we going to open our minds and with all intellectual honesty and unbiasedness truly go to seek out the real problem so we can accurately diagnose it and solve it. That's all I want to know. And Janice Shaw Krause has written an entire book proving she doesn't want to.